Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Angela, and wow, I've got a special treat for you today. Her name is Sarina Baptista, and she is a certified evidential psychic medium, spiritual teacher, award winning author, and international speaker. She was a featured speaker for the Life, Death, and Beyond International Conference in Greece and teaches classes and is a visiting medium at Lilydale, New York during the summer program. She's a presenter at conferences and has created many training programs, including spiritual mentoring, long distance training, workshops, and retreats. Serena discovered her gifts through her own tragedy, the passing of her 7-year-old son, JT, in March 2007. And she learned that her son did not really die. He was still very close and led her to incredible gifts. It is Serena's mission to help you find purpose and connection to your highest divine self, create the bridge for conversation with loved ones who have passed, and mentor psychics and mediums to be master messengers. Sarina Baptista is the bridge between this world and the next. And she has this book. It's called My View from Heaven. And my support group has been raving about this book, and I just had to interview the lady who was behind that. So, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Angela. I am so happy to be here. And I always love talking about JT, talking about his book, because I love how you phrased that it was, it was kind of me doing it, but you know as well as I do, JT wrote the entire thing. I think there's a couple paragraphs that I wrote, but the rest is from him that I channeled from the other side. He is on the other side. He transitioned in March 2007, and I just caught the flu on a Monday, and Friday I went in to check on him, and he wasn't breathing. And that began all of this. Now I have found since then, he has told me since then, and other people were telling me along the way that I agreed to this, to this event. I agreed to have him leave. And I thought, who does that? What kind of crazy mom does that, that agrees to having their kid leave like that? Well, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from JT, and the book is amazing. When I was writing it, I really did. I tell this in interviews all the time. I really did have to step away as I was writing it. The way that I was doing it was I was voice recording into a Word document, and then and then all of a sudden he would say something. He would give me something that was just crazy, that was just out of this world. And that's what I say, that so many of these concepts, I had no idea of these things that he experienced. And he would tell it to me, and I would have to say, "Oh, bud, I need to step away just for a moment because I am not getting it. So let me go away. Let me assimilate it a little bit and then come back and we can continue." And he was so cute. He was so adorable in those moments, when I said, "I got to step away for a second." And he says, "It's okay, Mom. It's okay. I'm going to help you." And that really is who he is. He is a teacher. He's a master teacher on the other side, a master soul. And so I would step away from writing it and I would say, "Okay, give me a little bit more about this so that I can kind of sink my teeth into it. I can really get a feel for it." And he would give me the backstory. And so that was wonderful because, again, some of this stuff, as you know from reading it, it's
Mhm.
very different than what I grew up with in Catholic school. Very
Yeah, for
different.
sure. Yeah.
Yes. So so he is just such a light, just such a light, and shares his knowledge and his teaching from where he is now. And obviously, he was 7 when he left, and he couldn't really do that here, although, I just didn't even realize what an advanced soul he was when he was here. at his funeral, 7 years old at his funeral. We had two different funerals. We had a kid funeral in the morning and then more of an adult funeral in the afternoon. And the kid funeral, every single kid stood up and said, JT was my best friend, or JT helped me with this. And he would bring Kleenex to kids who might be crying in class, or he would share something with them. Just such a bright light. And I did not know any of that. I didn't know
Mhm.
any of that until they told me what an impact he had on them, 7 years old. And so that kind of tells you who this soul is, and the immensity of the information that he has now, and just the level of energy that he has now. It's just incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And just, I listened to the audio version and it's AI that's reading it, but his energy really does come through when you're listening. And it's almost, and I will attest to this because there was another member of my group that actually said, like, I feel like he's really here. Like he's right here with me. And I felt
Right.
that too. Definitely his energy is very close. And it's almost like, he's helping you as you're reading the book. So
Yes.
I totally get it. It makes a lot of sense that he's this old soul that's been around, and this is definitely what he was meant to do.
Absolutely. And I love how you said that. He is helping everybody. He is, and that's I think one of the things that he even says in the book, I think in the epilogue or somewhere, that I'm there. I'm there with you as you are reading this. I am helping you. I can help you. You just ask for me. And I teach a lot of classes now, a lot of intuitive classes, mediumship, just connecting to who you are, just connecting to your soul energy. And he's right there every time. And he says, tell them that I'm
Yeah,
going to help them. And
yeah,
the number of people who are in my meditations and just everything, they say, JT was there with me. And they feel weird telling me that.
yeah,
And in the beginning, I was like, what do you mean JT was there? He's my son.
yeah,
That's what what is he doing helping you? Total human, right? Totally the human mom going, wait a minute, this is my kid. And then realizing, of course, this is, oh my gosh, he is so much more than my JT incarnation here, so much more. And just the number of people that he does reach, the number of people that he helps. And he'll help with anything, even if it's not in his wheelhouse. He's laughing at me. Don't say wheelhouse, Mom. I love it. That he tell me what to say, and this is what we go through. This is how things roll for us. But he says everything's in my wheelhouse. And what he'll do is he can help in directing you to your guide, directing you to your teachers, the go between. The other thing he's reminding me, he's telling me to say this. I don't often tell people this, but in the early days when I was learning to connect with him, I was learning my own abilities. One of the things I was doing, I was opening the light for energies who might be stuck here a little bit, those who have transitioned, but maybe didn't really understand how to get to the other side.
right,
And it was one of my gigs. It was one of my things to open up the light and get them there. And there were so many times where I'll never forget this one guy. He probably was in his 40s. He left by suicide, and he was terrified to go across because of how he ended things. And so I said, okay, whoever can help me, because I'll usually call in. His mother was waiting for him, and I can see them in the light. But he was like, oh, I don't believe that. JT appeared in the light, came as his 7-year-old self, which he didn't have to do because they're not really age, they don't have age, but he came as his 7-year-old self, walked straight up to this man, held out his hand. The man took his hand and they walked into the light together.
Oh,
Those are the things that he does. That's the way, that's the immensity of his energy. And I am just so blessed that I got 7 years with him in body. Still miss the heck out of him, of course,
mhm.
but I get to work with him. I get to talk with him. We talk every day, as you can tell. He's always in my head, and and he helps me to to make decisions. I say, okay, is this direction? The direction is for my highest good, because he can see things I can't, and that's why I say, hey, if you're watching this and you need help, ask JT. And he might come as his 7-year-old self, or he might come as his soul self, which is an older version. It looks very different energy, looking energy or feeling energy, but you'll know it's him. And again, a lot of times he does come as that 7-year-old because that's how people recognize him, that big, beautiful face that I put on everything that I have. All of the back cover or wherever you can find any information about him, there's his face right there. And so he'll usually come with that energy, the energy of who he was here for recognition. But man, he is so much more than that, as you have experienced and has others experienced as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's back up a little bit to before you could communicate with JT. How did you get to that point?
Well, I'm very, very grateful. He is a tenacious energy, and he was obviously not going to give up on me. I felt it was such a slow process, but to him, it was, obviously just the right timing. I knew, I knew there had to be a reason. He passed from the flu. He caught the flu and again, passed 5 days later. My daughter had the flu also. She had a higher fever. She was sicker. She was throwing up. He was not. And so I was focusing on him, but I was focusing on her also. And so, when everything happened, we were in just such shock, right?
Mm,
Because who dies from the flu?
yeah.
And so right away, he started letting me feel him, and I really didn't know it was him. I just would feel this tickle on my left hip, and I thought, what is that? And it would be when I was crying, when I was really crying, there would be a tickle on my left hip. And it was very comforting, of course, but I had no idea it was him. And little things like that. He would give us the smell, or give me the smell of his dirty laundry, which I thought was absolutely hysterical. At the time, I didn't know what that was either, but I would go into his room and I would smell his dirty laundry. And I knew it wasn't I thought it might be a rogue piece of underwear or something because I was always yelling at him, put that in the hamper, close that hamper, that stinks. And so I think it's very amusing that he gave me, the smell of his dirty laundry. It wasn't until I had a session with a medium. He left in March 2007. I had the session with a medium in September of 2007. And that's when she said, I smell dirty socks. And I thought, oh my God, that was it. That's him. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that really was him. And so he would do that. But the biggest thing that he did for me was he would bring me dragonflies. And dragonflies are very, very sacred and special signs from the other side. And again, I had no idea any of this. I mean, I knew, when this kind of thing happens, all of your beliefs, everything that you thought that you knew goes out the window.
Yeah.
It just disintegrates. And you ask yourself, well, what is real? Where did he go? And I would look out his window, his bedroom window at night up at the stars, and I would say, I know you're out there. I know you're there somewhere. I don't have any idea where you are, but I know you're there. And and then I would get the tingle on my hip, and I thought, oh, there's no way. There's no way that that's him. And so this continued. And then oh my gosh, amazing people who are intuitives that I have in my world. I didn't know how intuitive they were, but they came to me. They said, JT, give me a message. JT says, you agreed to this. The two of you agreed to this. And I thought, again, I said, how in the world do you agree to something like this? How does that happen? And so I did blow it off, kind of. But I also said, well, how? And they said, I don't know. That was so frustrating. They would say, you agreed to this. JT says you agreed to this. And I was like, well, what does that even mean? And I don't know. So going, okay, I'll just keep going. And he would throw like breadcrumbs. I tell him it's like breadcrumbs in the forest, throw breadcrumbs down and I would just follow the crumbs. And it led me to different places. It led me to the people who I needed to connect with in order to find the answers. One of those was John Holland. And I had never heard of John Holland before. He is, he is a medium, and he was coming through my town in just like a couple of weeks from then. And again, had no idea that I was a medium, but I thought, okay, well, I'm being pushed to see this guy, so I'll go ahead get tickets. Not sure why, but let's go ahead and do this. And so I did. I did get tickets. And then since that time, since I got the tickets, then I had what is called a Life Between Lives review or Life Between Lives regression. And that's where you go in between the lifetimes and you can ask questions, you can find out answers to different things that are going on in your life. And the only question that I had was, did we agree to this? That was it, because everybody kept saying it. And I thought, how in the world is that possible?
Yes.
And so I had the Life Between Lives regression, and JT was right there, and he came flying out of the crowd, and it was a very tearful reunion. I'm in not meditation. I'm in regression at the time. I'm under hypnosis at the time, and so, but it was real. I could hug him. I was crying, and then the person who was doing it for me prompted the question. Okay, ask your question. Did we agree to this? And so I said, did we agree to this to JT in that space? And within an instant, we were in front of what I would call a picture window. And inside the picture window was my soul family. What I learned, I didn't have any idea what this stuff was, but learned soul family. I could see my husband's energy, my daughter's energy, my other son, JT, and me. And we were sitting around a table. That this was the obviously we were energy, so we didn't sit around a table,
Yeah.
but that was what they were showing me so I could understand the process.
Mm.
And I heard myself say, yes, that's a great idea, let's do it, knowing that what I agreed to was to have JT go.
Wow.
And so I know, and then I come out, that one kind of messed me up, because then I thought, well, what am I grieving then? I did this to myself.
Mm.
So, where do I go from here? And that night, I will never forget it. I was sitting in his room, and by that time, he had been giving us physical signs. I mean, physical stuff going on. One of them was a mobile in his room. It was just two paper plates stuck together with some paper in the middle. He made it in kindergarten. It was painted red and had Mars written on it, and it was hanging from the ceiling because it was one of his prized possessions from kindergarten. And in the process from when he left to this date to it was I'm sorry, August when this happened, when I went to the Life Between Lives regression, he had been moving the Mars plates around. He'd been moving the mobile around. And And it was on command. It wasn't wind. And I'm a skeptic. I'm an engineer. I used to be a software engineer. So I
Yeah.
go there first, So I'm going, okay, where's the wind source?
Yeah.
What's a, what is, what's really creating this? And there wasn't any wind source when he would do this. And that night, when I was sitting on the floor of his room, very confused, and then doubting, going, really, did that happen? Was I making that up? I don't know. And I was prompted to look up, and Mars was spinning out of control. I mean,
Oh,
out of control, spinning, no air conditioning on. The window was not open. It was spinning wildly, not just a little bit. It was going crazy. And I heard, it was me, it was me, it was me. And I didn't even recognize that he was saying that to me. I just felt it. I felt it. And so it was another month after that that I had that meeting with a medium. Had never done anything like that before. And she was recommended. She was in California. I was in Colorado. She had never met me, never met JT, but just a recommended source. And so she's the one that said, after all of that about the socks,
yeah.
the dirty socks, she said, "Oh, your guides are showing a thick ink on a contract. And did you sign for a house or are you buying something?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Oh, this is your contract. You are a medium. You are the bridge between this world and the next." And I had just a couple of days prior to that, thanks to John Holland's book, Power of the Soul. I had read in there and had an aha moment, and which was absolutely validated by JT and by my peeps, I call them, that day as well. That, oh my God, I think I could do this. And then she said that. And so then I said, "Well, what do you do? Do you just wake up talking to dead people? Because that's
Yeah.
really, that hasn't worked for me yet." And she said, "No, training, training, training." So I immediately got into training. I was in a couple of different groups, and it happened very, very quickly. Within a month of starting my training, kids from the other side were coming to me to get messages to their parents. I was so green, and I was still working on how to receive and all of that, and how to discern and raising my frequency, all of that. And so it was a process, but wow, a month in, and I was giving messages, short, sweet messages, which, blossomed into something completely different, blossomed into absolutely doing mediumship readings for people. But the training piece has been huge for me, and teaching other people how to do this, teaching other people how to access that information for themselves, and writing books so that people, you know, uh, uh, grief is such an interesting thing here in the States. It it's just not honored as much. It's becoming more so, though, because there's more of us who are saying we need to express this. We need to open this door, and it's okay to have the door open. And then as we go through that door, guess what? Our loved ones are right there. Our loved ones are waiting to help us and to talk with us. And it has just been extraordinary, just extraordinary. And then learning from JT about what happened with him, when he left, and hearing other people's stories, other soul stories, spirits on the other side, what happened when they left. There's some differences. And also, I'm part of NDE groups, and what happened with them when they left and then they came back. There's such a variance of information, which is right in alignment with what JT says, and that is that it's your own reality, that you are creating your own reality, and that is what you experience in the beginning of that. So just fascinating But I again, am so blessed. That was 2007. Here we are, 18 plus years later.
Mm,
Crazy.
yeah. 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 And it's remarkable how you channeled the book through him. And what I really enjoyed listening to was just him describing the other side and all about, the reasons why we would step into one of these kinds of relationships where a loved one leaves early. And so I find all of that so fascinating. And when I was listening to it, sometimes you can listen to things and think, well, I don't know. But this one, it's like, no, that sounds right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just the way that he explains it so well and he gives the examples. Um, because there's always a little story that goes with whatever he's trying to say. So I loved it. Yeah.
He is so funny. He's so funny with that. But that's purposeful, of course, because again,
Yeah.
these concepts are huge. And again, it's nothing I ever heard growing up, nothing I ever heard in my adult life. I'd never heard these concepts before. And that book was put out, I think it was 2013, something
Mm,
along those lines. 2013, I believe, 2014,
okay.
something along, yeah, not much beyond that. Nobody was talking about that at the time. Now they are. Now there's more authors who are coming forward and getting that download, getting that information. But yes, having coming in, having these options. He talks about the
Mm,
options that you have, choosing lives and the help that we get in choosing those lifetimes and how it's based upon other lifetimes, things that we're trying to learn. And in this particular one, he is such an advanced soul. He wasn't going to be comfortable here in a body for a really long time.
mhm.
And so that's why it was 7 years and only 7 years. And other people too, those beautiful souls, those beautiful kids that leave. We all have agreed. We all have agreed to have that experience for some reason or another. And that's where kind of diving in asking I am again software engineer, so I'm always asking questions, always asking okay, well, what does that really mean? Break that down for me. And doing that with spirit. Okay, why did you leave? What was the purpose of that? What's the purpose of that for your loved one here? And what do we need to do to get them there?
Right.
Because there's a lot there, and sometimes it is just to experience it. It is not for it's not might not be for like what I my purpose, because it truly was an awakening, and it truly was a way for me to wake up to who I am and to step into that so JT could work through me. And of course he does work through a lot of other people too, so it's just beautiful. But for some, it's totally different. It could just be because they need to experience it. They needed to experience that kind of pain. And, on the other side, we are such bright energy. And we look at things and we say, oh, yeah, no problem. That's not going to be a problem for me at all.
Right.
Sign me
Right.
up.
Yeah.
Just like I did. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. Sign me up. Oh, my gosh. And then we get here and we forget all of it. We forget all the stuff
Yeah.
that we had agreed to. But again, we are coming into the age on the planet now, this beautiful energy where we're supposed to be remembering now. And so many of us are remembering. So many of us are stepping into that. And we can all do it. We can all remember. We can all get that connection. I always say I'm not special. I just got a kick in the took us, I was going to say something else, got a kick in the what to get going on this. But we can all do it. We can all do it. What interferes with that, of course, are blocks, fears maybe, or the idea we don't deserve it, or the idea that, who am I to talk to the other side? I remember saying that when I was learning how to do this. Who am I? Who am I to talk to other people's kids and to the masters and all of that? And I would constantly be reminded, you are the energy of the universe. That is who you are. And so that's what I would like to say to everybody who is watching this, is that you are the energy of the universe. So you absolutely have the ability to connect not only with JT, but with your purpose, with your higher self, with your guides and teachers. And really, this is the time to do it. We are in such an incredible place energetically on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And I think that, going through what we're going through now, the world is so chaotic. It's
Yes,
crazy right now. Um, it just feels like, you know, I can go to this place where everything has meaning. Everything has meaning. Even
right,
the things that we don't understand have meaning. And so it's like, okay, I don't know, I'm not sure what's going to come of this, but I just have a trust and a knowing that it's all going to be okay, like more than okay,
right.
you know? It's like this kitchen renovation that we're doing right now is going to turn out fabulous. We just don't know how.
And you won't be able to eat for a month from that
That's right.
kitchen. Yes. And it feels so uneasy and unsteady right now. But JT says, everything is part of the plan, that everything that is going on right now is part of the plan. Don't ever doubt that there isn't a plan. Don't ever doubt that there isn't something in place. And, so I tell him, I said, well, what about these crazy, very traumatic things that are happening, like the planes falling out of the sky, things like that.
Yeah.
And he says, they all agreed to that. And I know that. I know that to be the truth, that they did agree to exit in that way. It doesn't help to tell their loved one that right off the bat, right? To say that to people, but hopefully down the line they get it, or they understand why, what the purpose was for their loved one to leave like that. But it was not random, and it was not anything that could have been prevented. And that is I think that's the grace that I have now, is to understand when I hear something like that on the news, or when I see something horrific come up. And I will always check in with JT. Are they okay? Are they okay? And he says, of course they're okay. This was the plan. This was the plan, Mom.
Yeah.
I was, well, don't talk back to your mother.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Well, and
it
it's that,
is.
yeah. And it's that whole concept of, we're spiritual beings, but we're in this human, well, some people refer to it as the meat suit.
Right. I don't like that. That's kind of, I
That's
like
pretty
I like
crude.
human suit. Yeah, human suit. I'm in the
Human
human suit
suit.
right now.
Yeah. And so when you're in this, of course you don't see the bigger picture and you can't
Yet.
understand, and you have to go through that
Right.
whole process of grief. And that's why I really think the process of grief was given to us. It's God
Yes.
given so that we can let
Yeah.
go of these things that our human self wants to hang on to and, suffer through. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. The things that I hear so often from loved ones on the other side is, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Don't feel guilty about my leaving. Don't feel like it was your fault. There was nothing you could do about it. Those kinds of things. It was, and there's such consoling messages if if the person here can hear it. And it's a seed that's planted. That's all that I do, is I plant seeds, and hopefully that it grows, because guilt is such a low frequency emotion, energy. And regret is the same. And yes, I went through that too, thinking, God, my kid died from the flu. I should have gotten him to a hospital. I should have done this, should have done that. It was a setup. It was such a setup. I found out later that he really did want to leave from home. He didn't want to be in the hospital. And so it was definitely set up so that I could not take him to the hospital. I had terrible food poisoning the day before he
Mm.
left, and I could not move other than writhe in my bed until 11 p.m. at night, that Thursday night. And then from 11 p.m. till 4 a.m., I was with him and just trying to comfort him. He just was restless, restless. And this was very unusual, but he came up to me in that time and he said, "Mom, I don't think I can make it." 7 years old.
Mm.
He said, "Mom, I don't think I can make it." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he says, "Oh, never mind, never mind." And I'm going, "Oh, great. What was that about?" Now, looking back, of course, I see that he was being prepped. He was being
Mm.
prepared for this. We're never alone. And that's the other thing that he impresses upon me to tell other people. We're never alone. We're never alone when we leave. There's always, always people there that, from our families. There's helpers. There's always someone there. So that's another part of this is that, yeah, we are never alone. But I know that he was being prepped, and but it didn't, of course, help me
Yeah.
at the time. But I get it now. I get
Yeah.
it now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can completely relate to that. Looking back, Blaine knew. Blaine knew. And there were things
Wow.
that he said to me that, I probably just dismissed because it was like, well,
Yes.
you're not gonna, that's not. And
Crazy.
yeah. And then now I look back and I think about how things were kind of set up, for
Right.
me. And I think, wow, you just knew. You just knew. Not maybe not consciously, but subconsciously. The other way
Right.
around, I guess. He knew. And so yeah, it was easier for me to accept it as being part of the plan then.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I had awakened at 4 a.m. Uh, uh, JT that day, March 30th, 2007. JT, he popped up straight out of bed because I was lying down in the bed next to him, and he popped up straight out of bed and he said, "Mom, go to bed." And I said, "Well, okay, did you want to come with me? You want to try to sleep in the big bed?" He goes, "No, you go. I want to watch TV." Because he knew that I couldn't sleep with the TV on. Well, at that point, after having, food poisoning and all of that, I was going to sleep just fine. But I go, okay, not thinking this kid would never send me away. He would never have,
Right.
he was such a mama's boy. He would never send me away. But I'm going, okay, I'll go into the other room. And at 6 o'clock, I woke up and went to the bathroom just 2 hours. And I went to the bathroom and I was walking back and I had the thought, what if I go in there and he's dead? Now, why would you think that? That was a planted thought. That was a planted thought. And of course, then I went in there and yeah, he wasn't breathing. And we did this, were doing CPR and all of that. I knew he wasn't coming back though. I knew that. But of course that didn't stop me from trying to bring him back.
Well,
But
yeah.
he knew. He knew. Somebody told him to say that to me. Otherwise, I would have been in there and probably done CPR, done whatever I needed to do, and he needed to go. He
Hmm.
needed to go.
Yeah.
So it's just fascinating to me how they do this and the different layers that are involved and the different spirits and energies that are involved in this very huge orchestra,
Hmm.
of action. It really is just amazing.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I find really comforting, and I've heard this before, is that often your soul will leave your body before the body actually dies, I guess,
Yes,
the
right.
terminology for it.
Yes.
And so, because a lot of people are concerned about whether their loved ones suffered, in that
Oh,
time.
right,
Yeah. And
right.
I think it's really comforting to know that the soul can leave the body, and that they can watch that and not suffer that way.
Absolutely. And what's even more astounding to me is yes, they leave their body. I hear that all the time from loved ones on the other side. I wasn't there experiencing that. I was already out. And grandpa was with me. There's always someone with them. You know, when they fly out of their body like that, there's always someone there, even if they haven't met them in this lifetime.
Right.
If it's, if it's a grandfather or great grandfather, they've never met them, they know who it is. They know that energy. It's like it's just a known. And someone is always there to help them, always there to assist. And so yes, they are not experiencing that. And I think that is the beauty of being able to, being energy, right? And being able to say, yeah, I don't feel like having that. I
Yeah.
don't feel like experiencing that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think I'm going to check out now. Going to go now and I can watch.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So so are you doing readings then now?
Oh,
Or
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. That started right away, whether I was ready or not. You know, a lot of these things, JT has just said, okay, mom, it's time to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, mom, it's time to do that. Like, are
Yeah.
you crazy? Are you crazy? And he says, you're not doing it. We are, and he's always reminding me about that, with my teaching and all of that. He says, we're doing the teaching. You
Mhm.
just say what we tell you to say. And I love that because they know. But absolutely, I do lots of different readings. I do obviously the loved ones from the other side, mediumship readings, psychic readings, Akashic record readings, just spirit, just connecting to spirit, connecting to your guides, pets. Pets, pets are so near and dear to us. So, mediumship for pets, psychic for pets. A lot of people get their pets, they adopt and weird behaviors or whatever. We can find out what is going on and see if we can help that pet adjust or whatever needs to happen. And so, definitely anything, the universe is energy. So, really, anything that's energy, I can connect to it and I'll get information from it. So it's spread out a lot on the different things that I do, but I love all of it because again, JT's right there with me all the time when I'm doing these, and also all of our other helpers. Gosh, we have a lot of helpers right now, and they're all here to assist us to get to the next place that we need to get to here on Earth, the energy on Earth. So I'm excited to see what's next. And I'm also very, very blessed, very, very fortunate to be able to help people to get the whatever it is that they need, closure, just to know that their kid was okay or their loved one is okay. It doesn't matter if it's a mother, whatever. But I know that reading for me, that reading in September 2007 changed everything. All I needed to know was that, is he okay? Did he get where he needed to go? Did he quote unquote make it? Did he make it? And I know I'm thinking that. I know other parents are thinking that. I know other daughters are thinking that about their parents. We're all wondering, okay, are they okay? Are they out of pain? And the answer is, of course, yes, they are out of pain because we just let go of all that physical stuff. We don't need to carry it into the next life. So, or the next energy space, phrase, whatever. We don't need to carry that. So, yeah, so they are okay. They are all right. But it's so beautiful to hear it from your loved one in their words. And that is one of the things that I love to do is use their words. And you can tell, they're very clear. JT says, "Don't say that word. Don't say this. Say
Yeah.
it like this instead." And as long as I'm listening, which of course in readings I am, as long as I'm listening, then I can adjust and make sure that I say it the way that the person needs to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that I did a lot of energy healing and met with a lot of energy healers when I was on this journey. I didn't so much go see mediums until later, but often through those energy healings, there would come a
Right.
message. And
Yes.
they were always so, so that I just knew that it was him. Like there was no way it
Right.
could be. And so, and that happened all along,
Oh,
and so
wow.
it was kind of, like you say, little breadcrumbs kind of leading me. Okay, well, I can do this,
Yes.
I can do that.
And look at you now. Look at where you are now. And of course, we never fully heal from, from the grief. And I don't want to say it like that. That's really the wrong way. JT saying, don't say it like that. There is always a part of us that aches, from that.
Mhm.
But we fill that space. A beautiful friend of mine who lost her husband, she said, I had this huge hole in my heart, and then a garden grew in the
Yeah.
hole. And
Oh.
that's what it feels like. It feels like, oh my gosh, there's this hole and it's never going to be filled, and it's just going to be a gaping hole forever. And then as we do the work, as you did the energy work, as you received the energy from him and from others and the beautiful healers that you were working with, a garden grows, and then we can plant something new. And that's what I feel we're being called to do, is to not do it again the same old way, to do it differently, and to understand. The very first book that I did, which I just crack up because JT, his books have won all the awards, right? But I had one book before that I put out, I think it was in 2011, 2012, something like that, and it was A Bridge to Healing, JT's story. Now, yeah, I'm blanking out, but it was it was basically a mother's grief journey and return to hope. And that last part there, returning to hope, finding him and understanding that he's not gone,
Mhm.
that he's in a different space and time, or he's in a different energy form, but I can reach that. I can reach that form. I can reach that energy. And so there is hope. There is hope. Regardless of what kind of loss you have had, there is hope. Again, we still have to go through the process. If we are called to do that grieving, if there is that intensity of the grieving, and all grief is so personal, and just it needs to be honored, regardless of who you are grieving. It is definitely a process that needs to take place. But then walk through that door and see that, hey, they're not gone. Whether it's a pet, whether it's a person, it doesn't matter. They're not gone. They're right there, and their job right now is to help you. And that's what I love about talking with those who are on the other side, is tell them I'm here. Tell them I'm helping. And they
Mhm.
do. They are, and they do. And that also is just so beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I love that garden because that's what I've been trying to express through, I always think of the life that we lived together, our marriage and how we met and all of that. Feel into it now with so much gratitude. It's totally
Right.
different than when I used to feel into it with that sadness. So
Yeah.
something has definitely shifted and changed. And now my perspective is so different on life in general through that experience. And so there's growing that happens. It's like I'm in the education world. There was teaching and there was learning that happened through that process.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes, but he was guiding you the entire time, and that's what I love, and that's what our loved ones do. Again, they guide us through, and they show us, the undeniable signs, undeniable experiences that we know are from them. And that's, again, that's their job. I keep hearing that from loved ones on the other side. Where else would I be?
Right.
Of course,
Yeah.
I'm going to be with you.
Yeah. That's amazing. So tell people how they can find you.
Wonderful. Yes. They can find me through my website. There's a couple different ways you can get to it. SarinaBaptista.com, but that is might be a difficult name to spell. So you can also get to it bridgetohealing.com. That has everything there. There are links to my training site, to different things. I always offer free meditations during the month. And that's a really great way to get into higher space, higher energy space. Meditation is definitely key to connecting and to getting into high frequency. So join me. They're all through Zoom, and they just go for, 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. But every month we do something. And so all the information is on that website, as well as the different sessions that I offer, and again, training that I offer. I do have, a lot of people don't want to do classes. So I have private mentorship programs too, which help individuals with what they specifically need to do to hone their abilities to connect, or whatever it is that they're trying to do. And that's been hugely successful. And again, it's not me doing it, it is spirit doing it, it is JT, it is your guides, your teachers. They're the ones that are running those. And so it's really amazing to watch transformation when somebody comes into a mentorship program, into that, and then we meet for a couple of times, and they get to explore, they get to learn how to do that. It just really is amazing. So that would be how I would say to get to me. And then from there also, you can look at the books. I also have, the books are on Amazon. They're in some bookstores, although, the brick and mortar bookstores, they have a harder time, keeping. Obviously, there's only so many shelves.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I would suggest go into your bookstore, see if they have it. If they don't, they can order it, or maybe you want to get it through a different, through an online source. But the books are, especially JT's, My View from Heaven is just incredible. Just an incredible story about, his process, and why are we here? Why are we here? Why do we come here? That was something that I really needed answered, especially after he left.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
I'm asking JT what he would like to share, and he reminds everybody to ask for his help. Ask him to be present. And that's as simple as saying, "Hey, JT, can you come and be with me today?" And then ask for like a sign from him, or ask for something, some kind of validation that he's with you. He'll give it. He is such an immense soul. He will absolutely give it. I would say, if you're going to do that, don't say, "You must tell me the word blah at 3 p.m. today." Let's not give him that specific. Let him do it for you. That is absolutely one thing that I learned, is that we can say, "Okay, tell me the word cross at 2 p.m. today." That's not how that works. We give it to them, and they will absolutely give it to us. They will absolutely let us know. And then just be observant. Be observant throughout the day. Be observant in your daily activities, and you will absolutely hear from him. I would love to hear from you all about that experience. So you can go to my website. I have contact forms there. I would love to hear about that.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I encourage people to get the book. I really do because it comes very highly recommended by my support group and by me as well. So, yes. And thank
Thank
you
you.
for taking the time today, and thanks to JT as well for joining us. That was great.
Oh, we just, again, I love talking about JT. And of course, he's always got something to say. So he, of course, appreciates it also. And thank you for this forum. Thank you for the work that you do. And because we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I want to thank everyone for watching, and bye for now.